My name is Rudy Switchblade, and I am your OVW Heavyweight Champion. I'm Chris Silvio.
This is Michael Hayes. This is Jason Wade.
You're listening to Triple Threat Talk.
And welcome everyone to another exciting edition of Triple Threat Talk. Guys, how are you?
How are you? Episode 26, and once again, you saw in the beginning a new interview for this week. It's later on the show, but I want to thank, and I'm going to say throughout the whole show, I really am excited about the interview this week with OVW Heavyweight Champion Rudy Switchblade. That was amazing, a once-in-a-lifetime experience, thanks to OVW, and thank you to Rudy for that was an awesome experience for me. And like we do every week, I start the show off with some viewer questions.
But first, some exciting news, some exciting news.
Igniting, huh?
Igniting.
It's so igniting, it's exciting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the doctor here got engaged over Thanksgiving.
Yes, he's off the market.
I'm off the market.
Sorry, ladies.
Sorry, ladies.
All three of you.
So now he's off the market, I'm off the market. And
now we got to get you off the market.
Well, we can't get Cody Rhodes to
that's true.
stop his tour long enough to come.
We on what? Less than a minute and you already started already? I already started within a minute.
But apparently he's moved his man crush on the Rudy Switchblade. I know, right?
Don't listen to him, Rudy.
We love you. We kid. We
kid because we care, right?
That's right.
So let's get to the user question. User? Yeah, boy.
Heat slide over there.
What's in this water here?
I don't know. Anyway.
From the Michael Cage, was the Chronic a good tag team?
I think so. I think they were pretty decent. They had a couple, of course, Brian Adams and Atom Bomb. You know, were pretty good. Some pretty good talent on that team. I had to say that.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not too familiar with that team, but the fact that Brian Adams was on that team, he's obviously known for being in great stables and factions. When Smash left Demolition, he joined them up, and he was the leader of Disciples of Apocalypse as Crush. So Brian Adams has a lot of experience in a team setting. So obviously, that seems like a good scenario to me.
I never was really high on the Chronic, if you know what I mean.
That's a terrible joke.
Play on words. Huh?
But, I mean, yeah, they were okay in their day. Obviously, Brian Adams is no longer with us. But, you know, they were decent to watch. You know, they weren't one of the best tag teams, but they obviously weren't one of the worst.
Right.
They definitely kept us entertained. So.
Exactly.
From Guitar Hero 3214, who do you think should never... And stop it already.
I can already tell he's chomping up the bid to say somebody.
Have been pushed to the top of the company.
You know, I would just be a total biased person if I said everybody knows who I want to say.
We know, but
I'm not going to say it. What I think the person that and you're going to kill me on this one, but I think it is Cody Rhodes, and it's not for any other reason other than the fact that he's getting pushed way too quickly. I mean, you can't argue the fact that what has he done for us lately? I mean, really, honestly, he was the Intercontinental Champion. You're talking about an Intercontinental Champion whose biggest accomplishment so far is bringing back the vintage belt. I mean, that's just who it is.
I'm gonna let you respond to that.
I'll respond to it I'll answer the question after my response, my rebuttal. I think you completely ignored the question. First of all.
No, I didn't.
The question was to the top of the company. Last time I checked, Cody is not at the top.
He's a mid-card. They're pushing him.
Mid-card is not the
champion.
top. Mid-card is not the top.
As we've stated on this show several times, the mid-card is the next stop.
Eventually, he's not there yet.
I'm just saying.
So whatever, but that's neither here nor there. Honestly, I did like him as a heel, but I just didn't. He wasn't believable as the top because he was one of the longest champions that WWE had was JBL. You know, for the longest time, he was known as like Justin Hawk Bradshaw and Bradshaw at the APA. You saw him as a good tag team guy. Then when he broke away from Farouk, he was like a champion for a while. It's like I didn't really buy into the whole thing. I didn't really see a point of him getting pushed all the way to the top. Don't get me wrong. I like JBL's gimmick, a wrestling god. But to me,
More like a wrestling fail.
I was going to say fraud, but with JBL, I didn't see why he got pushed to the top like that, considering he was a tag team wrestler for so long. So.
Yeah, I mean, JBL is definitely a good point. Probably one person that should have never been pushed to the top, and I mean, he's not there anymore, and it was a big mistake by the company, was Jack Swagger.
Absolutely.
Why you made Jack Swagger World Heavyweight Champion is beyond me. that was an epic fail beyond words. So.
I mean, they saw him, like, they took a chance on him, and obviously they knew they made a mistake because he's not really doing anything much anymore. So,
from Against All Odds 20, do you guys think WWE should bring back a big pay-per-view like Stampede, Spring Stampede, Starrcade, or In Your House?
I'm going to say no, yes, no. I love the Starrcade idea. I think that they've been looking for a 5th pay-per-view. To replace King of the Ring, it's been no secret, and I think Starrcade be a nice vintage pay-per-view to bring back.
I'd say In Your House just because it was a WWE stable back in like the late 90s, or WWF, what do you want to call it, back in the 90s. It was kind of an interesting idea. Starrcade and Spring Stampede, although they were good pay-per-views, I kind of feel like they should stay away because they were WCW stables. Staples in WCW, so I think they should stay away from that. But I agree with you. They need like another big pay-per-view to add to the 4 they have now. They should have another one. King of the Ring was that for a while, but I think they need to have established some kind of pay-per-view in this, like maybe before SummerSlam, maybe in like a little after WrestleMania, maybe something that's planted right there, and that's going to be it's going to be every year, so people have something to look forward to after WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think that the wait between WrestleMania and SummerSlam is just way too long.
Maybe WWE can do a thing where WWE presents TQ as a big pay-per-view. But I think Starrcade, I agree with him. Starrcade definitely should be returned. It was WCW's version of WrestleMania.
WCW. There's a lot of words there.
There's a lot of words there. But Starrcade, definitely. From the CAW interviewer, what would be your dream 2012 Super Bowl matchup?
Something that could easily happen. 49ers and the Ravens. I think that's definitely a possibility. Yeah, part 2. We'll talk about part 1 shortly.
Oh boy. For me, the matchup we picked at the beginning of the year with the Super Bowl picks, the Triple Threat Talk football special, I picked the Jets and the Ravens. One of those is still possible, which is the Ravens. The Jets are kind of downward spiral, so...
Wait a minute, I want to stop you for a second. The Jets and the Ravens are both in the AFC, so they can play each other.
I apologize.
I didn't even catch
that. I apologize. I said, thanks for correcting me. I picked the Jets and the Eagles, and neither of them are going to make the Super Bowl. So the Eagles aren't going to make the playoffs, and the Jets might not either. But for me, I just say the Ravens, just because I think they're a good FC team. I said on the show, the football special, I think they go 13-3. There's a very good possibility of them doing that. And then a team I'd see, because my dad is a fan of theirs, I'd see the Cowboys. Let's see the Cowboys back, at the top once for a change.
I'd like to see a rematch of last year's Super Bowl. The Packers and the Steelers. I think that would be a good Super Bowl. You can barf all you want.
Where's my barf bag?
Well, you can barf all you want. I think that would be good.
Both teams without cheerleaders again.
I mean,
that's fun.
It is fun. It's not about cheerleaders. It's about the pigskin. It's about football.
I just don't like to see. Even though I don't like the Steelers, that's irrelevant. What I'm about to say, I just don't like to see a repeat matchup in a Super Bowl. I just don't like it.
Why not? It would be awesome.
I'd see different teams. It brings you could just replay the last.
Who wants to see the Ratbirds in the Super Bowl?
Who doesn't?
They're a fail.
They're 83.
They beat the Steelers both times.
Joe Flacco will never make it to a Super Bowl. I'm telling you right now, Joe Flacco will not bring the Ravens to the Super Bowl.
But the defense will. Defense wins championships.
The key to
no way. That defense is getting old.
The key to a good offense is a great defense. And
Absolutely.
I think he's got a good point.
Totally disagree. But anyway. Greatest WWE manager of all time.
I think Mr. Jimmy Hart, for sure. I think he was one of the greatest.
I like to go with Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Bobby the Brain Heenan is definitely a epic choice. So is Jimmy Hart. And I think they would both be hard to top. So I'll go with both of those.
Okay.
JB11 2000.
JBL, you screwed me up.
Now you can say what you wanted to say. Who is the most hated / loved superstar or superstars in WWE?
Before you say it, I think we're all in agreement here. So I think on the count of 3, we should all say it at the same time. Ready? 1, 2, 3. John Cena!
I think it's been evident the last couple of weeks, too.
I mean,
more so than ever.
I mean, you can't disagree with the fact that he is possibly the most controversial superstar of all time.
I wouldn't say controversial.
Okay, well, one of. Because the fact is, night in and night out, no matter if it's Raw, or if he's on SmackDown, or it's a pay-per-view, you hear the chants, "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks." So, that's definitely...
Don't tag Cena! Don't tag Cena!
Well, I won't.
Exactly. Or boots to... from Undead Warrior 75, do you think it was smart for Randy Orton to be moved to mid-card?
I think it was. I think, like we've been seeing, and also answer your next question too. Go ahead and read that because they're going to tie in.
How do you feel about John Cena not being a main eventer?
I think it both kind of ties in here because I've talked in the past, and I know that they have had mixed feelings on it as well. But you got to be able to move people up the ladder, and I think what they're doing right now, trying to get Wade Barrett over Randy Orton, is a pretty good move to that. And I think John Cena not being in the title picture is also a very good move.
I agree with you. I mean, I was getting tired of Randy Orton in the main event. It was getting old. What they basically did, it seems like, when he got drafted to SmackDown, he was going to be the John Cena of that brand, and I didn't like that role for him. I mean, the voices and the head gimmick, I loved it. The heel gimmick, and then he kind of turned face, and it just got annoying because I didn't want to see another John Cena on SmackDown. I just didn't like it. So for him to be brought down to the mid-card level to face someone like Wade Barrett, which is good for Wade Barrett and good for Randy Orton to feud with somebody else for a change, I think is good for Randy Orton. And the same thing with John Cena for not being the main event. That's where I like him at, because he's been champion more times than I care to count. And the fact that he's not in the title picture right now is good for his character. So,
well, here, this brings up a question that I wanted to pose to y'all that I talked to both of y'all about off air, and that is, did WWE make a mistake by announcing John Cena versus The Rock too early?
I think so, absolutely, because, I mean, you've had so many weeks and weeks of dead air. Yeah, they talked about it, but how long has it been? How many interactions have they actually had with each other? I mean, for that first month, then they weren't off, and then now it's Survivor Series, and then the next Raw after,
right,
and then now they're off with it again.
I originally told you that I thought they didn't rush it, but now that I think about it, they did rush it. Mm-hmm. It's because I was there when they announced it. It was the night after WrestleMania, so it's going to be almost about a year until they have the match. As Doctor said, there's too much dead air time. There's not enough interactions between them. I mean, perfect example for this one. Yeah, I know it's kind of less time, but perfect example is like Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. They had like WrestleMania 26. They had the Slammy Awards, I think it was back in December, I believe, right? Of that WrestleMania. Exactly. And they started feuding, but they were constantly at each other.
Right.
Same thing with Triple H and Undertaker. When Undertaker came back, I think it was February. That's like less than 2 months away from WrestleMania. But they made it work. They interacted with each other all the time. They were in feuds. There was talking on the mic. They interacted with each other. Cena and The Rock have rarely interacted with each other except for on the mic, and that's not good for a feud.
Well, I think what the problem runs into to me is they've kind of put Cena in a corner, in a little box, because there's really nothing for him to do. I mean, okay, yeah, it was great to see Roddy Piper, who, by the way, he looked rather awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he looked really good. It looked like he's getting over his medical problems very good. It was great to see him come out. I think the whole purpose of him being there, he was trying to get Cena to go heel.
Well, he was trying to get some energy.
Yeah, get some energy with him. But that's my problem is, for the next, till WrestleMania, what are they going to do with John Cena?
I don't know.
I mean, it's obvious. I don't think we're going to see Cena versus CM Punk.
No.
CM Punk's going his own way. He's got Alberto Del Rio right now. Who knows who he'll have later. I just think they shouldn't have announced it that soon.
And the fact that The Rock keeps showing up and then leaving, he's not there every week, it kind of hurts it also.
And the final question from Undead Warrior 75, is TNA a bunch of WWE rejects?
I'm going to throw out a mental equation for you guys. TNA equals WCW. I think it's definitely a one-stop shop for old WWE rejects. Just like, sure, WCW had a couple great, as you said off the air, Goldberg, DDP, and all that. But so does TNA. AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. They've got that same thing going on, so I'm going to say yeah.
I'm going to say with maybe a no, not too sure, because there are some people there that you could technically call them WWE rejects because WWE didn't want them, but they're still great talent.
Right.
But they're still WWE rejects.
Technically, yeah. But I mean, it's funny with TNA. You'd figure that because the WWE didn't want them, so they figure, okay, we're going to push our own guys, showing that our guys are better. But it seems more times than not, they push the WWE talent over their own talent.
Which is stupid.
They have champions like Kurt Angle, and Mr. Anderson, and Jeff Hardy, and Bully Ray. Whatever. But I just don't get why they don't push their own talent. It makes their talent look weak. Especially people like AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, who, if you didn't know, they did have tryout matches in WWE way back when.
Right.
So that makes them look weak, and I don't understand why they don't push their own talent. But I guess technically I'm saying, yes, it's the area for WWE rejects. It's not a bad thing, but that's just what it is.
Yeah, we all know what TNA stands for. Totally not action. But neither here nor there. So now it is time for our weekly anointment of our viewer of the week. And since we all are in agreement, we'll go ahead here and announce that JB11 2011. Congratulations, sir.
And it's not because you asked. It's because I thought it was way overdue.
So JB11 2011. With that being said, it's our great pleasure to say that you are our, as the doctor takes a drink one moment, viewer of the week. So moving on from the viewer questions to the opening topic.
Little miscellaneous things here going on.
Yeah, well, I think we want to kick it off. Wasn't it you last week that said a comment of, looks like we may not have any more NBA this year, and you even said there may not ever be NBA again.
Well, guess what?
You were wrong, and you were wrong because there is an NBA season, and it starts on Christmas Day.
Yeah,
Thank you,
it starts
Santa.
on Christmas Day, and I don't see how you hold off for all this time and say, okay, yeah, we'll come back on Christmas Day.
Because
that's a fail.
The Christmas Day slate for basketball is the equivalent of Thanksgiving Day for the NFL. It's like their big hoopla holiday where they get all this reaction. And if they are going to come back and they did work out a deal, you almost wonder, was it planned this way? Was it planned for their most epic day of basketball, which has 3 or 4 of the best games you'll see all season? Like, for instance, the first game, I think, is the defending champion Dallas Mavericks versus the Miami Heat. I mean, wow.
Rematch.
What a way to kick off the NBA season.
Another game, I think, is the Lakers and the Bulls.
Yeah, so another very good game.
Yeah, they've got some good games, but at the same time, I mean, it's really no demand for the product.
I don't agree. You said I think it was planned that way. I think the NBA Player Association and obviously David Stern, who is the commissioner, they wanted to get this done as soon as possible. Obviously, as PostMaster said, it's a 66-game season, so if you do the math, they've lost 16 games of the season already, so potentially you could see a team go on 66 like the New Jersey Nets, maybe. But for teams that already have a good foundation like the Miami Heat and the Dallas Mavericks and possibly the Oklahoma City Thunder because Durant's playing well and the Lakers, they're going to be okay just because the fact it's a short season. But teams that don't have a lot of chemistry, maybe the Knicks. It seems like I haven't had a lot of time to practice yet because they haven't time to practice. They're going to struggle because of short season.
I tell you who's going to hurt the most is the Boston Celtics. And the reason why I say this is the Boston Celtics are older. And if you remember last season, towards the end of the season, they were gassed. And with this shortened season, and that's what you said, 66 game season, there's going to be times, I think 3 or 4 different times, where a team has to play 3 nights in a row. Boston will not be able to uphold that. They're getting older. Kevin Garnett has been around forever. Ray Allen has been around since God, I don't remember. So, I mean, I think this affects the Celtics more than anybody.
Yeah.
Who does it help? I think it helps the Mavericks.
I think it does.
Yeah.
The Miami Heat, teams that were in the in the playoffs
Absolutely.
late.
Yeah.
It may even help the teams with players that were overseas playing, so they were keeping their basketball legs under them. Although it wasn't in the NBA, it's still professional basketball overseas, so it helps them as well. So
here's one thing. Here's a question I do have for you. What's the talk with the Celtics? Going back to the Celtics, why are they trying to get rid of Rajon Rondo, one of their best players?
They want Chris Paul. They feel Chris Paul is better than Rondo. I agree.
Yeah, so do I.
I can't. And it's not even because he's a Kentucky player. If you look at the numbers, Rajon Rondo has more triple doubles than anybody else in Celtics history.
That may be the case, but CP3 is younger. He has a lot more potential. He has more talent. He's more versatile than Rondo.
I just always have been a show me the numbers guy.
And another team, actually, just thinking about for myself, because my favorite team is the Orlando Magic. This is actually a bad year for them because Dwight Howard stated a couple of times that if he doesn't win a title with Orlando this year, I don't know how he feels about the lockout or anything or the shortened season, but he basically stated if he doesn't win this year, he wants to go somewhere else. I don't blame the guy.
So, with that being said, I guess, who do you guys think will win it? Who wins the shortened season? Who wins the NBA championship?
I think it's still too early to tell because there's a lot of teams out there that people are expecting to make runs this year that have been irrelevant, i.e. the Oklahoma City Thunder, the New York Knicks. There's a lot of people who have said that those teams could take very deep runs. And also another team that's been thrown out there, the Hornets, that could make a very deep run. So I don't think this is like football where you kind of expected it. You kind of thought that it was going to shape out like this. I think you got to give this one a couple weeks before you can answer that.
I'll pick. I think possibly the Bulls. I mean, Derrick Rose was the league MVP last year. They were playing really good basketball. They're a cohesive unit. They know what they're doing as a team. I think the Bulls may shock some people, make a deep run, maybe make it to the finals and possibly win the whole thing.
Well, I really like the chances of Dallas repeating. As you know, I love Dirk Nowitzki. I think that they're definitely a good possibility. And, of course, you can't count out the Miami-Philadelphia Eagles as also possible.
He's taking his talents to South Beach.
Yeah, he is. Which, by the way, we're taking our talents to South Beach in April. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
So, moving on from that to a little baseball.
Baseball?
You're thinking, it's December the 1st. What are you guys talking baseball
Not too much baseball news, nothing like that. But actually... big news if you're a Boston Red Sox fan.
The Red Sox.
That's terrible.
The Sox.
Pack the cat. Anyway.
I feel like we're in The Departed.
Anyway. The Boston Red Sox hired former manager and ESPN analyst Bobby Valentine. No. I mean, that's a good thing for the Red Sox. Obviously, he was an established manager with the New York Mets, led them to the World Series in 2000, which I love that, but I didn't love the fact they got beat by the Yankees. So, but it's good for the Red Sox. He's a good manager. He's very good at getting teams, where they need to go. And what do you think this does for the Red Sox?
Yeah, sorry guys, no more beer and wings in the clubhouse for you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it totally turns the Red Sox around, and hopefully you can avoid an end of season collapse like we saw last year.
Right.
Okay, guys.
That's it for miscellaneous. A
lot
of stuff going on this week.
So now we move on to our buy-sell segment.
Really?
We got a buy-sell segment.
We got a little bit of a buy-sell. We had to scrape this one together.
So I'm going to lead this one off, guys, if you don't mind.
Sure.
The last couple days in the NHL, Bruce Boudreau, the Washington Capitals head coach, was fired basically because of Alex Ovechkin. 2 days later, today actually, he was hired by the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Now the question I pose to you, buy or sell that players should have an influence in a coach being hired or fired?
Absolutely not. I don't think it's the player's choice. I don't think... When you're a player, you sign up to play for the owner and the coach, and that's the end of the story. You play by the coach's rules, or you play by no rules. If you don't like the coach, don't re-sign your contract. Go to the team where you fit in, and that's the bottom line.
I actually sell it. I think they should have influence because if you look at it, a situation in Tennessee. I mean, I know you're talking about hockey, but
I understand. Yeah,
but in Tennessee, the situation with Vince Young and Jeff Fisher. The owner wanted Vince Young to stay. And Vince Young had problems with Jeff Fisher, and look who went. Jeff Fisher went. I mean, yeah, Vince Young is not there anymore either, but Jeff Fisher went first. So
and it's a bad move, and look where Tennessee is now.
Yeah,
because
they're paying for it.
Well, yeah. But the fact I'm trying to make here is sometimes if you have a marquee player on your team and they're not happy with the coach, if the owner is happy with that player and they're saying, okay, this guy is winning for our franchise and he's not happy with the coach, I'll give him the boot. So sometimes it matters. in situations.
And I'm going to rebuttal that statement by saying it doesn't matter about your marquee players because you see a team like Buffalo. Yeah, they've kind of slowed down and hit a bump, but they started off, undefeated, epic season. I mean, undefeated. There's hardly any playmakers on that team. It's because of your coach. I mean, I think it comes down to the coaches and the players getting along. And if you look at Chad Ochocinco and you look at basically Cincinnati, Cincinnati's made a lot of questionable decisions as far as personnel and players goes. And they've made some gutsy calls, and good and bad. And I think that they're a prime example of how you should run things because yeah, they eventually made the right decision in trading Carson Palmer for what they could get out of him.
Right.
But you don't see the coaches there running the situation. No. Guess who left? Ochocinco, not the coach.
Right. And look how much better they are for it.
Right.
They're 7-4. So yeah, no.
That's either way. So.
But I'm just saying, like he said, players should have absolute no influence on who's coaching. I mean, if you don't like it, go play somewhere else. Exactly. I mean. Sentiments exactly. So, Ndamukong Suh stomps on a player in the Green Bay Lions game on Thanksgiving Day and is handed a 2-game suspension. Buy or sell the length of the suspension?
I'm going to sell that all the way. I think it should have been a lot longer. I think he should be sitting out the rest of the season.
Absolutely.
And not only did he stomp on a player, but he then tries to cover it up by saying, I was just trying not to fall down.
Check the replay. I didn't do it. I was trying to get myself up, get balance.
Hold on. Oh, I didn't mean to punch you. Yeah. I was just trying not to fall over.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
We'll talk about more of that later too. So,
yeah.
But this is a sell all the way. I agree. He should definitely be suspended the rest of the season. He's suspended 2 games without pay, so it's like $185,000 around there or something like that. He's losing. But this is inexcusable behavior. It's not his first offense either.
No.
Can you spell inexcusable?
Excusable.
There we go.
But this is unacceptable behavior. It's not his first offense. He's obviously labeled as a dirty player, so obviously 2 games is like a slap on the wrist for him. It's nothing.
I just don't see what the point is. At this point, if this was his first offense, I'd say sure.
Yeah, but it's not
2 days.
No.
But, I mean, you're looking at a guy who's been fined 5 times over the course of the season.
And
the triple threat, we've already got some feedback coming in.
Hotline!
Anyway, so, that being said, I think he said he went to Roger Goodell and asked if this was allowed, and it's not. So the fact he gets suspended for 2 games without pay is ridiculous. He spent the whole season.
Right.
I agree. I mean,
where's the secretary to answer the phone?
I know. Where's our secretary? Get the phone with you, for God's sakes.
Take notes. We'll get back to him.
Ndamukong Suh should have been suspended for the year. He should get a healthy fine out of it, is what he should get as well. So I agree to that. Now I have 3 quarterbacks that I'd like for you all to buy or sell. Buy or sell Tyler Palko with the Chiefs?
I'm going to buy. Even though they got Kyle Orton coming as backup, I think this year more than ever we're seeing backup. So it would not hurt me. I would not be shocked if Tyler Palko starting this week. I would not be surprised if Kyle Orton gets hurt. I don't wish that on anybody, but that's been the pattern. We've all seen it. That's been the pattern, and I think Tyler Palko just needs a little bit more polishing. And I like this kid.
I sell Tyler Palko. He didn't look that impressive in his first game, and I think they signed Kyle Orton for a reason. I think he's going to be the quarterback. I feel bad for the kid because he's in the NFL. You want to have a successful career, but the situation, what it looks like, is going to be Orton's going to get the start eventually, maybe like in the next game or 2. I don't think he's going to start this Sunday, but maybe next week. And then once Matt Castle comes back and is healthy, you're going to have Castle as the first string quarterback. Orton's going to be second string, and they're probably going to release Palko. They're probably going to try to get a trade for him in the draft, so I'd probably sell Tyler Palko at this point.
I sell Tyler Palko as well. I mean, he threw nothing but absolute darts to the wrong team. I mean, I thought he was playing for the Steelers at one point. It was absolutely ugly. I agree with him. They signed Kyle Orton for a reason, so I don't look for Tyler Palko to be around much longer.
The thing you have to consider is, and I'm going to let you all go on after this, but the thing you have to consider is 14 catches, 156 yards to Dwayne Bowe in the first 2 games of him ever throwing an NFL pass. You have to take that into consideration.
Yeah, I buy Dwayne Bowe, not Tyler Palko.
I'm just saying.
Okay, buy or sell Caleb Haney with the Bears.
I sell that kid. He just hasn't shown me much.
I would buy him, but last week, let's just what it is. It's embarrassing. Okay, he played well in his playoff game last year. Almost brought the Bears back to victory, but the play that he made at the end of the game against the Oakland Raiders was just a bone-headed play. He's trying to charge his team down the field, win the game at the end. It's 25-20 Oakland. Caleb Haney goes to spike the ball, but he doesn't spike the ball immediately. He holds the ball for about maybe a good 5 to 10 seconds, then he spikes it. That's intentional grounding, and they lost the game because of it. That is poor management by Caleb Haney. I sell Caleb Haney.
I'm buying Caleb Haney, and the reason why is this. Mike Martz, you cannot have the Jay Cutler playbook for this kid, and that's what they did. Matt Forte should be getting the ball 30 to 35 times. Caleb Haney should not have to be throwing the ball this much. They put too much pressure on this kid first game in to try to be throwing the ball. I realize, but the Bears, you're about running and defense. You're a hard-nosed football team. You're not about chucking the ball 40 times. Switch the playbook around. Put some passes in there that Caleb Haney can make. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to light the world on fire. You don't expect him to. But make it manageable for him. All he has to do is remotely manage that offense, and the Bears' defense will do the rest.
Well, I mean, we'll get into it obviously in the NFL when we talk about NFL, but I mean, it came out today that Don McNabb got released. I think the Bears should pick him up.
See, I disagree. I think Caleb Haney is fine. They just need to change the playbook. Caleb Haney is not Jay Cutler. Don't run the Jay Cutler type offense playbook with him under center. You need to have more run plays than pass plays when he's in a QB. So, buy or sell T.J. Yates with the Houston Texans.
I'm going to say pretty much with anybody with the Texans with as many weapons as he has. And I've been misspeaking here by calling him Mike Dreesen. It's Joel Dreesen. I apologize for that, Dreesen. But the fact of the matter is this. I think you can buy any Houston quarterback outside of, some very poor names, like, Blaine Gabbert went on.
Blaine Gabbert.
If he went on waiver, you definitely won't want to pick him up.
Blaine Gabbert.
I don't know if I'd want to be a Texans QB right now.
They're dropping like flies.
First Matt Stump to Schwab goes out, and now Matt Leinart is out.
But yeah, I wouldn't want to be a quarterback named Matt.
Matt Schaub, Matt Castle, Matt Leinart. What about Matt Hasselbeck? I don't know.
But I mean, it's just one of those things where
Matthew Stafford.
Exactly.
I think that they've got a lot of talent in Houston. I think the supporting cast. Some teams in the NFL do not use their quarterback as their star player. A few of them do. And I think I buy this kid T.J. Yates at Houston because he's got Arian Foster, Joel Dreesen, Owen Daniels, Andre Johnson. I think he's got a good supporting cast. I'm
going to sell him just for the same reason I sold Tyler Palco. Matt Stump the Schwab is going to come back.
Schwab.
Matt Leinart is hurt, but he's going to come back. Thank you. And then they just recently signed Jake. Daylight coming, you got a DeLome.
Now that was a fail. Don't ever do that again.
Chris Berman did it. Anyway.
Well, he's Chris Berman's epic. He can do all he wants.
Anyway, so that's why I sell T.J. Yates. Because they're going to have three quarterbacks that are established. Jake Delhomme was a starter for Carolina. Matt Leinart was a starter for the Arizona Cardinals. And Matt Schaub is the starting quarterback for the Texans. So once those guys are healthy, it's time to say adios to T.J. Yates.
I'm buying Thomas Jefferson Yates because...
Is that really his name?
I don't know, but that'd be hilarious if it was. Like he said, he has a lot of weapons. I mean... Just hand the ball off to Arian Foster 40 times. That's all you got to do.
You got to add Ben Tate to that too.
Just give him the ball like 40 times, and then throw it to Andre Johnson 6 or 7, and Joel Dreesen like 6 or 7 times, and there you go. So
whatever.
So that's our buy-sell segment for this week. Actually, a lot to buy or sell.
Yeah, really.
Pretty good segment, pretty entertaining segment. So moving on from that, we got some NCAA football and basketball, so we'll head it on over to the doctor, who will get us going with that. Doc?
We'll start off with some football here. Guys, 3 years after I was born, an incredible streak. An incredible streak started.
Wake me when it's over.
Tennessee has used Kentucky as a doorknob,
Doorknob, really? What you turn?
Doormat.
Turn.
They've been using it as a doormat the last 26 years. Last Saturday, that came to an end. The Wildcats of Kentucky, with a wide receiver at quarterback,
Well, he's right.
comes
Randall
out
Cobb.
and beats the Volunteers 10-7, and they do it Denver style because Rourke ran for over 150 yards on Tennessee.
Let's be honest,
And
he's
through-
still no Tim
I'm just
Tebow.
saying. He completes 4 out of 6 passes for 15 yards.
Sounds like Tim Tebow.
Exactly like Tim Tebow.
What was Tim Tebow doing on that day?
But yeah, I mean, the hex is broken finally after 26 years. Also, LSU kind of destroyed the third-ranked team in the nation, Arkansas.
Absolutely.
41.
I actually want to mention something like that. I don't get what this was about. I saw on the replay. I was confused. You figure when you're up in a game and it's 4th down and you're in field goal range, you go for the field goal.
Right.
But Bobby Petrino wasn't happy about it. He was cursing on the field to Les Miles like, what do you want him to do? Do you want him to go for the touchdown? You want him to run up the score even more? I don't get that.
Here's Petrino's problem. This was his problem at U of L, too. Not only does he follow his pocketbook, but he follow the money. He thinks that his philosophy on football should be the end-all, be-all, but clearly Les Miles had a better philosophy, so Petrino just needs to cool it.
It was so odd. It's like, why would you not want him to go for the field goal right there? It just makes no sense. So.
How about
the
fact that our squad, the University of Louisville Fighting Cardinals, could potentially go to a BCS game and not even be in the top 25?
I think I'm always wanting to say whenever local sports goes, at the end of the day, I'm a UK fan. But
yeah,
also,
that's very evident.
And also, at the end of the day, I'm a local sports fan. I want to see U of L succeed, despite what I say, off the air. I do. I want to see U of L succeed, just not against UK. I do want the Cardinals to be in a BCS Bowl, but not this year because they are going to get embarrassed.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple weeks ago if they potentially go to the BCS Bowl, they might go to the Orange Bowl and play Virginia Tech. They're going to get killed.
No.
That's it. I would not want to watch that, just like he said he doesn't want to watch it.
It's going to be an absolute embarrassment.
Yeah.
And
here's the thing. Charlie Strong is a phenomenal coach.
There's no denying that.
He took a team that some guy named Crapthorpe.
Okay.
I had it right the first time. Absolutely took a Orange Bowl winning squad. They went 6-6 his first year. So you knew trouble was a brewing. Last year, his first year here, totally no expectation whatsoever. Picked last. The Cardinals make it to the Beef O'Brady's Bowl, win that. This year, even lower expectations. They were picked last again. And now they are, with a 5-2 conference record, are co-Big East champs. Hats off, Charlie Strong. You're a whale of a coach. And I want to see him in a BCS game. I mean, you guys say, oh, they'll get walloped. So what? They earned their spot. They're there. Guess what? They can do it again next year. And, hello, Syracuse and Pittsburgh, you're not going anywhere for a couple years yet. So here's the thing. U of L will be back on top of the Big East. It's evident. It's coming. I mean,
until Boise State gets there.
This class is unbelievable. I mean, you think this team is loaded with freshmen and sophomores. And a true freshman like Teddy Bridgewater, I don't know if we're going to get to keep him for 4 years.
Right.
I really don't.
Might have one more year.
I mean, we may get 2 more years out of him. I don't see him staying all 4 years. He is a daggone good quarterback.
I mean, for us, we don't know. Louisville maybe show up in that game. They might win the bowl game. We don't know.
I just don't see how you can beat Virginia Tech.
Right, but I'm just saying we don't know.
I mean, the Hokies have got one hell of a program, and they definitely deserve. They deserve the title, and not to say the Cardinals don't, but as you said, they are co-Big East champions.
Right.
This is why there needs to be a Big East championship. Right. And that's why there is. So that all that being said, should the automatic BCS bowls be revoked?
No.
Not the BCS. I'm sorry, the BCS bids.
Okay.
Yes.
I definitely.
The reason why I say yes is because it is a broken system. It needs to be fixed.
Yeah, the BCS has always been broken.
Okay, we may never see a playoff. Okay, but let's get some sort of a remnants of a playoff. The top 12 teams in the polls should go to the BCS bowls.
Absolutely.
End of day. I don't care if it's Boise State. I don't care if it's Sam Houston State, North Central Polytechnic. If they're in the top 12, they should go to the BCS game.
Absolutely. And the fact that, and we're going to talk about Heisman candidates here in a second, but the fact that Kellen Moore is in 6th place at Boise State just because he's not in a BCS conference is ridiculous. The computer knows a lot of things, but the computer does not know how good this kid is. It's not like he's playing in Division II or Division III schools. He's playing Division I FBS football.
Right.
Who cares if it's a non-BCS conference? I've stood by it. I think he is the best quarterback in the nation, and you're looking at him as a 6th place finisher. Now, I don't think I'm going to go into it in a second, but I don't think he's going to be, Andrew Luck is going to win the BCS, but I definitely think that Kellen Moore is a better quarterback than Andrew Luck. And I think that they definitely need to get rid of the BCS automatic bids because it's doing no one any favors to have computers have the majority of the system. Computers couldn't pick that Iowa State was going to beat Oklahoma State. They couldn't predict that.
No.
And you got to look at it on the field, not on paper, not stats. Computers they can only take you so far.
Right.
And I think the BCS automatic bids need to be dismantled.
So, I got a question for you guys. What do Tim Tebow, Rod Woodson, Mark Ingram, and all those have in common?
They're Heisman winners.
There you go. So that leads us into our next topic. Heisman candidates, guys. It's obviously getting down to the end. We got conference championship games this week.
Go over each of them, and then I want your opinion on each of them. See how you think they're either A, going to win, or B, how they're going to rank. All right?
All right, go ahead.
So first up is running back from Alabama, Trent Richardson.
He's definitely your front runner.
Yeah.
It's his to lose, I think. He definitely, with his performance last week against Auburn, right?
204 yards against Auburn.
That definitely cemented him as number one. I don't know if he could be passed. I mean, it's obviously possible, but I think with being at Alabama and with Alabama being in the limelight as being probably in the national title game in a rematch against LSU, he's definitely your front runner.
For me, I think he's second behind Andrew Luck. I think Andrew Luck's still the front runner.
I think Trent Richardson is gonna. I agree with Postmaster. I think he's definitely gonna win. It's his to lose. In my mind, he's only got one other bit of competition. I'm just going to go ahead and throw out another name. Robert Graham III of Baylor.
Griffin.
Thank you. He left the game against Texas Tech with a concussion, and he's got one more chance to impress everybody. I think he can put up some good numbers in the game Saturday. I think you could be looking at him instead of Trent Richardson.
I think somebody that gets overlooked, and yet again, it falls in the category of Boise State, but who's having an absolutely phenomenal year. And no, he probably won't win, but I hope he at least gets an invite to New York, and that's Case Keenum of Houston.
For like 1 million touchdowns.
I mean, that is ridiculous. I mean, what was it a couple of weeks ago we talked about he threw for, 9 touchdowns?
72 to 10 or something like that.
It was like 9 touchdowns and like 540 yards. I mean, that's freaking amazing.
It just takes you into consideration that the FBS, BCS bowls, the BCS, all conferences need to be BCS. You're playing FBS football,
right?
You need to be BCS.
Right.
I don't care if it's a power conference or not. It's just the way it should be. You're wronging these kids that are going to these other schools just because they're better opportunities.
Right, and a good opportunity to hear that, a good analogy for that would be, okay, so in college football, Houston and Boise State more than likely can't play for the national title game. Okay, so in college basketball, Butler, guess what? you technically weren't supposed to be in the national
Yeah.
championship game the last 2 years because
You or VCU.
you're not a power conference.
Yeah.
You're in the Horizon League, so that didn't count. That's stupid. I mean, if college basketball can do it,
Yeah, really.
college football can do it.
Right.
And these young coaches coming up, to your point, Shaka Smart and Bradley Stevens, I mean, these guys are staying at their schools because they believe in something higher. They believe the fact that they can touch these kids' lives and the fact that there is just amazing opportunities for these young men playing in the NCAA Division I basketball, and they're being robbed because they're not in power conferences.
Exactly.
Right. So, with that being said, the next candidate we have is from the University of Southern California, Matt Barkley.
He will not win,
No,
and I'll tell you why. Because although he did put up impressive numbers, they absolutely walloped UCLA over the weekend. Matt Barkley, I think, threw 5 or 6 or 7 touchdowns of his own this week. And he will not win simply for the reason of USC is on probation.
Mm-hmm.
They can't go to a bowl. And yeah, I realize they passed all over UCLA even at the end, but even Rick Neuheisel, who was fired, by the way, by UCLA, said he understood why he did it. The coach for USC, Lane Kiffin,
Yes.
Lane Kiffin, they talked after the game, and he said, I totally understand. You wanted Barkley to look good for the Heisman, but I don't think it's going to matter.
I don't think it
No,
will either.
I think the game they played against Stanford made Matt Barkley a contender, but that's it.
Right.
So the next candidate is a linebacker from Boston College. If I butcher this name, I apologize. Luke Ketchley.
I haven't really heard much about Boston College. I do know they have an outstanding defense. I think they're number 4, number 5, and that would certainly make him a contender. Once again, it's been forever since a defensive player has won the
I think,
Heisman.
like I said, Rod Woodson earlier, I
Yeah,
mentioned him. He's
yeah.
one of the few defensive players to win it. But
Yeah.
it's very hard for a defensive player to win the Heisman because it's like, I think it was, help me out here, ESPN analyst, college football analyst for ESPN. Help me out here.
I would if I knew what the heck you were talking about.
Mel Kiper Jr.
There you go. Okay. What did he say?
He said, a lot of times the Heisman is a popularity contest.
Yeah.
And what he means by that is, obviously, the quarterback and wide receiver and running back are your flashy position. And that is why the quarterback has won this award more often than not.
Right.
And I think what needs to happen is also to go on with the Heisman thing. I think there needs to be a secret ballot because you have everybody under the I've got a Heisman vote. I've got a Heisman vote.
Yeah, I vote in the Heisman.
Why don't you just say, hey, my hand is available for a little bit of cash, and I'll write your name down. There definitely needs to be a secret ballot.
Yeah, with Ketchley from Boston College, it's great that he's a contender, but that's all that he is, in my opinion, just a contender. So, all right, next is a quarterback from Oklahoma State, Brandon Weeden. Brandon Weeden.
I think the Iowa State game just throws him out anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that done him.
Yeah. Okay, so we already talked about Andrew Luck and Case Keenum. Now we're going to go to running back from Wisconsin, Monte Ball.
I don't really know a lot about Monte Ball from Wisconsin. Again, he's in the Big Ten. They're big on defense and running the ball, kind of like the Ravens and the Steelers, the NFL. Like I said, I don't see him trumping Trent Richardson. Trent Richardson plays in the toughest college football conference in the land. There's no doubt about it. And to put up the numbers that he's put up in the Southeastern Conference is absolutely amazing.
It's been, 204 yards against Auburn. But yeah, I think running back at Wisconsin, Big Ten is known for their defenses.
Right,
absolutely. Absolutely known for their defenses. And if you can have a 125, 150-yard game in the Big Ten, then you're doing something right. You could be an SEC caliber running back.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he is in contention because he has 10-plus touchdowns this year. And I think that's something that the Heisman candidate looks at. To me, it makes him a more attractive candidate. I think he should definitely be 4th in the running.
Right. I feel bad for him. He has to go up against Trent Richardson, so he's not going to win. So, but it's great that he's in the running for it. So, but again, we forgot to mention before we get to Kellen Moore. We forgot to mention. I guess we'll mention after Kellen Moore about Ohio State Michigan was this past weekend.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
I was getting ready to get to that.
So obviously a name that we all on this show is quarterback from Boise State, Kellen Moore, and he could surprise me, but he could possibly win this thing.
I think last year was his year to win. Obviously, Cam Newton did. I think if Kentucky beat Auburn last year, because that game came to the wire, anybody that watched that game, it was probably one of the best games all season. It turned out, thought it was going to be a stomp fest, but it was really one of the best football games all season, and that's not me biased. That's just fact. And I think if Kentucky wins that game, Kellen Moore would have won the Heisman last year. I think he is an amazing quarterback. I think he's definitely better than Andrew Luck. I think he's being overshadowed just because, like I said earlier, he's at Boise State and they're not a power conference.
Right.
Yeah, and to that point, that's definitely true. He had his time last year in his agreement. If Cam Newton would have lost to Kentucky, or there was a couple other games that Auburn could have easily lost and they squeaked out. Yeah. Kellen Moore could have won, but like I said in the beginning, Trent Richardson definitely. It's going to take a epic performance for somebody to pass anything.
For me, again, like I said, I pick Andrew Luck as the winner. So, if like I said, these guys, pick Trent Richardson, he could easily win. He's playing a heck of football at Alabama. But if a quarterback's going to win, it's going to be Andrew Luck, not Kellen Moore.
So probably the most historical football rivalry in all of college football.
Maybe all football.
Took place this past weekend. 114,000 people packed the big house to see Michigan v. Ohio State. Michigan and Brady Hoke pulling the win out for the first time in, I think, 4 or 5 years? Yeah. It was definitely a very good game.
Absolutely.
It was back and forth. I mean, I think early in the second quarter it was like 24-21 real early. There was a lot of points scored early, which is kind of odd for a Big Ten game. Right. You don't expect that. But the news that definitely overshadows Michigan's big win, and props to Ohio State because they always have to one-up Michigan. They did it again by the hiring of one Professor Urban Meyer.
He took Florida to 2 national championships. I think you're going to be looking at a slight rebuilding period at Ohio State. And I think Ohio State's going to be back on top in the next 2 years.
Yeah, it was getting kind of annoying because ESPN was reporting it. He was denying it, and eventually he just said, I'm there, whatever. So, but the coach right now, the name escapes me who the coach is for Ohio State right now.
He's entering.
Well, he will be coaching them in the bowl games. Urban Meyer will not take charge of that team until next season. So.
But he is staying on the staff with Urban Meyer next season.
So there's not much going on. There's a basketball.
Yeah, there's a lot going on basketball actually.
Before he gets us into the games, though, I want to make something real quick news story here. We're not going to get into the specifics of it because we already talked about something with Penn State of the same nature. But Bernie Fine was relieved of his duties at Syracuse, so that's something that's going on.
A couple weeks ago, we mentioned that some news could be coming out of Syracuse, and that was the big news. But yeah, other basketball stories of note. North Carolina gets beat by UNLV and makes Kentucky the new number one. UNLV beat UNC 90-80. UK is number 1 in the nation now. The last couple times we've been number 1, though, we've lost the very next game.
Well, it's like, I don't think you have a problem tonight.
I don't think you got a problem tonight.
You're taking on St. John's. However, you may have a bit of a problem Saturday.
That was my concern. North Carolina last night, they barely squeaked out a win over Wisconsin. I think if North Carolina lost that game, there's no chance for us, even though it's at Rupp. They got the chip off their shoulder. I think Saturday you're looking at a Wildcat win. But
you want to talk about a wallop? Ohio State beating Duke.
That was just an amazing game. 85-63, the final in that one. VCU, I'll tell you what, it was a contractual game. One of the coaches left and went to Alabama. So you leave VCU, you have to play VCU. It's a contractual game. They gave the number 12 Alabama all they wanted. Came up a little bit short, 72-64. Virginia beats Michigan 70-58, which was a shocker. Loyola Marymount. Now you're saying, who cares about Loyola Marymount? They beat the Rick Majerus coach team of St. Louis 75-68.
Yeah, it is a mouthful, Majerus.
And the Big Ten won the ACC Challenge with the total of 8 games to 4 games.
And now tonight kicks off the SEC Big East Invitational. UK is taking on the Johnnies of St. John. And tomorrow, the University of Louisville welcomes to the Yum Center Vanderbilt, which should be a very good game, 9 o'clock on ESPN. Vanderbilt has some early stumbles, though, this year. They lost to Cleveland State.
Who?
Cleveland State, and they lost to one other team. Slipping my mind, but anyway, kind of took a little luster off this matchup because it was going to be a matchup of two top 10 teams, but instead they've slipped back to 20th. Louisville's rated number 6, so it still should be a good game, definitely. One other thing we want to mention that Duke won the Maui Invitational, even though they got walloped by Ohio State. They did win the Maui Invitational. They're defeating Kansas, so big win for them and Coach Mike Krzyzewski.
Anyway, so, with that being said, we transition from collegiate to professional sports, and I haven't done this in the show yet, so I'm gonna do it now. I'll bring up the screen.
That's amazing, isn't it?
We all go 13-3, but our standings go nowhere.
Our standings go nowhere. Doc is still top Dino via the honor system, even though we're tied. I am still top Domo because I was top Domo last week via the honor system. And you, my friend, have one of the most epic weeks you've had in a long time, but yet you go nowhere.
I mean, I'll say this real quick. If it wasn't for the Seattle Sea fails, I would have went undefeated on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, and what's crazy is me and Doctor here picked 4 games differently.
We went 2-2.
And we go 2-2. It's like, wow, really? So, I mean, he picked the 49ers, which we'll get right into that now. The 49ers in the Harbowl.
It was, I had called...
he called me.
I called him.
He was not a happy man, I will tell you all that now.
And it does turn out that on Friday they come out and said that it was probably one of the most controversially called games of the season. The 49ers got a touchdown taken away that should not have been taken away, and an interception taken away that should not have been taken away. I've even come to the Steelers' defense before. It's not me being biased for the 49ers. I've come to the Steelers' defense when they've had bad calls. I've come to everybody's defense. Nobody came to the 49ers' defense except for a few commentators on ESPN. I know they want to thank you for your support, but come on. You cannot make it that obvious. When it is brother versus brother on Thanksgiving, refs, you got to call a fair game. There's no bad blood there. There's no reason to call it. I'm definitely pro-Ravens. I'm pro-Ravens, pro-49ers, but that game was just as pathetic of a called game as I've seen in a long time.
Well, to your point, on the touchdown that was called back, they called block in the back, which, no, they didn't, excuse me. They called a chop block. I reviewed the replay. It was a chop block.
But it was caused by the Ravens. The Ravens defender pushed the 49ers.
But he went helmet first into his knee.
And that should never have been
called.
That
was a chop block. And on the pass interference call, he took him and turned him. He even agreed with me. You see the replay. He took the player and turned him sideways. You cannot do that.
They were both tangled up.
Right, but it doesn't matter. He was turned sideways. You know they're always going to get the defender. I don't care how controversial you want to say it was.
It's not, when it comes down to the end of the day, it's not me calling it controversial. It's people that supposedly know a little bit more about football, even though we've got a better win rate than they do.
But I thought they were both legitimate calls. I mean, the pass interference, he was turned sideways. He was impeded of his route. And that's pass interference. I'm sorry.
Maybe the pass interference call should stay, but when you push another player down and that's called the chop block, that needs to be completely taken away. Because, I'm sorry, but if I push you in the middle of the street and you get hit by a car, that's not your fault. That's my fault.
Right. I agree to that. Okay. But what I'm saying is, if the ref didn't see the push, which it's obvious he probably did not.
Probably did not.
Okay. And all he sees is a 49ers player going helmet first into a Raven's knee. They're going to call that.
They're probably going to call it, but at the same time, we do have the review system now, and that should have been signaled down from the booth.
You can't review a penalty.
But they can view it down from the booth.
No, they cannot. You cannot review a penalty.
Which, by the way, speaking of reviews on fouls, they're doing that now in the NCAA. I meant to say that earlier. NCAA basketball, they're reviewing on fouls, whether it's a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2. But anyways, back to football. The result of that game, Ravens beat the Niners 16-6. The Texans beat the Jags 20-12 and lose Matt Leinart.
There we go. All right.
The Redskins beat Seattle at, what's it called? Century CenturyLink Field.
I guess. I thought it was still Quest Field.
I thought it was too. 23-17.
Wait. Before you get to this next one. I mean, let's not forget. Let's not forget how epic Tim Tebow is, because yet again, Tim Epic leads the Broncos into overtime.
And another overtime game is second in 3 weeks, isn't it? I think so. No, second in 5 weeks. Sorry.
Right.
So leads him to victory over the San Diego Chargers, and he actually looked daggone good throwing the ball. I was telling these guys I went and watched the game, not in person, but I went and watched it on TV because we can't get it locally where we are. And in the beginning, there was 3 or 4 perfectly thrown balls that his receivers just absolutely dropped. And I'm like, really? Are y'all trying to make him look bad? But then the receivers started playing better. They made some awesome catches. He continued to make awesome throws. I think he was 9 of 18, but he should have been like 14 of 18. Over 100 and something yards, a TD, no picks yet again. He's 5-1 as a starter, and this is something I want to throw to you all. Okay, Tim Tebow has played in 6 games. He's 5-1. Phillip Rivers has played in 12 games. How many wins does he have?
4.
So he has a better win ratio than Phillip Rivers. He has the same amount of wins as Ryan Fitzpatrick. He has one of the best touchdown to interception ratios in the league. 8 touchdowns to just 1 interception. But yet, there's still haters out there that want to hate on Tebow.
I don't understand this criticism. I mean, which Mike was it that...
Mike Golick.
He said on ESPN for Mike and Mike, he said that he doesn't think the Broncos should be sacrificing games. Hello? They're 5-1. I don't see any sacrificing of games
I'm
here.
sorry, but if it means you got to change your offense, like we said last week, you change your offense. This guy is a winner. Like the song says, all he does is win. I mean, it's evident.
Just because this has not been tried before, let's not condemn it. Like we brought up before, the West Coast offense, when the 49ers came out with it, was amazing. I mean, they got drummed in the playoffs, but they're 5-0 in Super Bowls because of the West Coast offense.
Right. And
that system works. And this system looks like it's working too.
And here's the thing. This is what I hear. This is one of the main, like, the people that criticize this as well. They figured out the Wildcat. They'll figure this out. No. Here's the difference. The Wildcat, you knew if Ronnie Brown was under center, they were going to run the ball. They knew if, what's the guy for the Jets? Brad, he's not there anymore, but Brad, what's his last name?
I can't remember his last name.
Brad Smith. If Brad Smith was under center, other than Mark Sanchez, more than likely he was going to run the ball. With Tim Tebow, he doesn't run the ball every play. Yes, he's a running back type quarterback. And yes, he has like the most rushes he had the most rushes in a game since
1950.
Since the merger.
Since the merger, but it's not as easy to figure out as you want to think. I mean, for instance, in the Jets game and the Chargers game, both 2 plays that stood out in my mind. One, and they were both kind of the same. Tebow keeps the ball, looks like he's going to run it up the middle. He darts outside for a huge gain.
And I think what Denver is also doing very well is they are abusing the screen. And what I mean by abusing is they're setting up screen-like plays and not using that receiver for a screen. He's pump faking to the receiver and then launching it downfield.
Right.
There's been a few instances of that, and I think that's really helping them. That is helping him on the slow release time. The only solid criticism that I can think of Tim Tebow is his release time sucks.
Yeah, I agree.
Abysmal.
His release time is terrible.
That's the only bad criticism. But when you can take the focus off of when that ball leaves your hand,
right,
like they are doing with these abusive screens, that completely takes away the release time. Because who cares if you buy yourself time with a fake screen and then you end up throwing it downfield for a game of 30 or 35 yards, and who cares?
And let's not also forget that in this 5-1 streak, the Broncos defense has played lights out. I mean, absolutely awesome.
Von Miller, what all you have to say? I mean just amazing linebacker.
Elvis Dumerville.
Yeah, Elvis Dumerville from U of L.
It's like Tebow said in the post game. It was an absolute total team effort, and that's what it's been over the last 6 weeks. I think the most the defense has given up in one game is like 14 points, right? Maybe one other time they give up a little more than that. But it's like their average point total they've given up is like 10. So, I mean, John Elway, if you know what's good and you want to be on the good side of the fans, you better make sure that come game 1 next season that Tim Tebow is your starter.
Right. Before we get into the pick'ems, just a little quick news going on this week. What about the Colts? Seems like they're giving up by putting in Dan Orlovsky this week.
I don't think they're giving up. I think they gave up a long time ago. My problem with this is it's a little late to be experimenting a new quarterback. Mm-hmm. They should have took out Curtis Painter a long time ago. Dan Orlovsky hasn't played since like 2008 when he was with the Texans. And before that he was with the Lions. And we all remember that infamous play where he gets a safety for standing in the back of the end zone.
Good one.
Obviously, nobody is Peyton Manning. Nobody's ever going to be Peyton Manning. And so they fire the defensive coordinator. Larry Coyer is gone. The linebackers coach, his first name is Biden, his last name is Murphy, will take over defensive coordinator duties. Orlovsky steps in. They're playing the Patriots, so I'm thinking it's not going to matter. No. It's going to be a wallop. It'll probably be over in the first 10 minutes of the first quarter.
Probably.
But with that being said, it's time that Bill Polian and Jim Irsay realize Jim Caldwell is not the coach for the Colts.
Absolutely.
I get what they were trying to do. Tony Dungy came in there, and no, I realize it's not all Peyton Manning, as much as people want to make it out to be. And I'm one of the biggest Peyton Manning fans ever. But Tony Dungy had a big hand in how the success of the Colts went. And he led them to 2 Super Bowls. They win, one Super Bowl. Jim Caldwell was in the... Right. I misspoke there. And they win. He retires, and Jim Caldwell was named coach in waiting. Obviously, we all know he was a good friend of Caldwell's. We all seen how that worked before. We saw how it worked at U of L with Tom Jurich and Steve Kragthler. It didn't work.
You saw how it worked at UK, and it's not working at all.
And it's not working at Indianapolis. You fired the defensive coordinator. Okay, I'll give you that. You need to fire the head coach. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of people out there. John Gruden. You mean to tell me? I realize, okay, yes, he's loving his job as the Monday Night Football guy. And, but you mean to tell me, if he had the opportunity to coach one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time for like 3 years, do you not think John Gruden would not jump on that opportunity?
I think he would.
But the thing is, Peyton Manning has to be back now.
Right. But if you were assured that Peyton Manning was coming back, and you knew that you would have a healthy Peyton Manning, the neck is completely rejuvenated and all that. If you were a John Gruden or a Bill Cowher, or for that matter, a Jimmy Johnson,
Brian Billick, would you not come out of retirement to be able to say you coach one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play this game?
I think it's an enticing opportunity.
You have to see where these coaches are, if they're ever putting their proverbial coaching hat in
right,
in
absolutely.
There. So, all right, next up I have the possibility of the Packers going 16-0.
What's your question?
Do you think they can do it?
Yeah,
they haven't been beat yet.
That's why. What's the question?
And I've said this numerous of times, and I'll say it again. I think even the second string for the Packers is better than most of the first string on a lot of the NFL teams.
I mean, with the Packers, I don't know what the schedule is off the top of my head, but the thing is, with going 16-0, there's a lot of pressure down the stretch of the season. Do they rest their starters at 15-0? Like the Colts had the similar thing when they were 15-0, they rested their starters. So
I was at that game. I thought I was going to get killed. There was a riot.
Right now, it looks like the Colts. It looks like right now the Packers possibly could go 16-0, but the pressure is still there for them. So,
I just think I really don't think there's any pressure at all. Who cares if you lose a game? If you lose a game going to the playoffs, it's probably the best thing for you.
Right. So, I think, get your loss out of the way now before you get that chip on
your shoulder.
I think the Packers need to lose, just like with the Patriots. They went 16-0 and they lost the Super Bowl to the Giants. So
I don't think you lose on purpose, though.
Well, I'm just saying I think it's a good failure.
So, you're one of your favorite teams, made a big move this week.
I was going to talk about McNabb, but we talked about him already, so let's get to
Jack Del Rio was no relation to Alberto Del Rio, unfortunately. Was let go by the Jaguars. This was long overdue.
Yeah.
This probably should have been done 2 seasons ago.
The thing is with Del Rio and the Jaguars, they said this season if they didn't make the playoffs, he'd be gone. Obviously not going to the 3-8. But that wasn't the bigger story of the situation with Del Rio. Is not only is he gone, but the owner has sold the team, and there is a possibility. If you're a Jacksonville fan, if you live in the area of Jacksonville and you're watching this right now, I feel bad for you because them staying in Jacksonville is in jeopardy. He says he does like the city of Jacksonville, he likes it there, but he's not saying no to going somewhere else.
Like L.A.
Well, he denied L.A.
Yeah, he said he's not going to take the team down.
But there's a possibility they can go to another area. So if you live in Jacksonville, I'd be worried. I like Jacksonville. I lived there for a few years. I like going to the stadiums. It was a nice area, nice backdrop. But it could possibly happen.
Here's the thing I heard yesterday, and I want to throw this to you all. I think it could happen. I think it would be well supported. I realize we're kind of clustered. But they said there's a possibility that Jacksonville could move to Kentucky.
I'd heard that. I just don't see, because we're college basketball here.
And college football.
Kentucky, the state of Kentucky is similar to the state of Florida, where it's a college state. You have Florida Gators, Florida State Seminoles. That is the basis of their state.
Right. But they do have a lot of very good professional teams.
Well, yeah. But
they don't have the Florida Marlins anymore.
No.
They're Miami Marlins.
Oh.
I think that it would not be supported. We can't even get a basketball team here, and
I don't want an NBA team.
I don't either. We don't. We're more of a basketball city or more of a basketball.
I'm telling you right
anything.
now.
And I don't. No one wants the NBA here.
If you look at the demographics on NFL Sunday Ticket and your cable ratings for NFL, Louisville is always in the top 5.
Right. It is
for NFL ratings for anything.
NFL would be received here.
I think NFL would be received here in a big, big way. The only problem I foresee is there is a lot of loyalty to other teams in this town. Obviously,
Colts,
but
the
that's
Colts,
because
the Bengals, the Steelers, the 49ers. We even have freaking Bears bars here in Louisville. We have Minnesota Vikings bars. We have Packers bars. We have 49ers bars. We have Colts bars. A team to come to Louisville. Would you give up your allegiance? I know the answer is probably no. But would you support and would you be a fan of a team that in the NFL that if they were in Louisville?
They'd be in my top 3. The 49ers would stay first, the Colts would stay second, and then I would probably support the Kentucky
I'd probably agree with him. I'd say Seahawks 1, Jaguars 2, and the Kentucky Knights number 3.
I would support them. I think that would be good. And why not? People say, oh, well, there's a team in Cincinnati. There's a team in Cleveland. There's a team in Nashville. There's a team in Indianapolis. There's a team in St. Louis. So what? Why not have another team? Just think about this possible division. Just throw Jacksonville out. Sorry. Throw Houston out. Sorry. This would be a good division to have. Cincinnati, Cleveland, Kentucky, and Indianapolis.
And I totally agree with you because there's a whole stretch of states, starting with Chicago, where it goes all the way up the eastern seaboard.
Well, there's a team.
In Kentucky, and I'm even going to say Virginia has one because, as we know, the Redskins are part of Washington, D.C., which is Virginia and Maryland.
Right, absolutely.
So I'm going to say Kentucky's really the only state in that region that doesn't have a team.
Can you imagine a division? You have the Bengals, the Browns, the Colts, and
the Knights.
Yeah.
Is that what you call them? The Knights?
Okay,
Knights. I'm just saying, and maybe the Titans have a 5-team division. I'm just saying, you as a fan could travel to all 8 games and hardly be out any money.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Right. So now let's get to the pick'ems of the week, and there's currently a game going on. Probably the time you watch this, it'll probably potentially be over, but it's the Philadelphia Fails against the Seattle Sea Chickens.
No, the Sea Fails. And me and the doctor already pre-selected Philadelphia, and Big B already pre-selected Seattle because this game, like I said, is already in progress. We picked those earlier. So moving on from that, we have the Oakland Carson Palmers against the Miami Dolphin Tails. And since you're still top dino, we will give you first pick.
I think Miami getting 3 points here is about right. I think Miami's on an upswing. I don't know what they've changed, but I definitely think Miami could take this game.
I like the way Oakland looked last week against the Chicago Bears. I think Oakland wins this game.
Oakland is going cross country. Here we go again with that. Right?
It's not a short week.
It's not the short week.
But let me tell you this much. Yet again, to reference Mike and Mike. I know we reference them a lot. But Hugh Jackson was on there this morning. At 7:45 this morning, Hugh Jackson was on the radio. So it's 4:45 a.m. in California. They were out there practicing at 5 a.m. I picked the Raiders. That is tough right there, buddy. The Tennessee Two-Steps go on the road to Buffalo to take on the Bisons.
I think Buffalo gets their act together this game.
Chris Johnson actually played well last week. He had actually 190 yards on the ground. I think he's going to play well. Buffalo, they're kind of maybe on a downward spiral. I'm going to go with Tennessee.
Well, I'll take Buffalo as long as a certain somebody doesn't shoot herself again.
Oh, Stevie.
The Kansas City
Chumps
against the Chicago Black Bears at Soldier Field.
I don't care who Chicago has at quarterback. Chiefs cannot stop Matt Forte. I'm going.
The Chumps couldn't stop a squirrel.
So you're picking the Bears?
Absolutely.
I'm picking the Bears as well. And now, our favorite game of the week, the Denver T-Bows, because they are the Denver T-Bows, against the Minnesota Pirates.
Minnesota's getting +1 here. I think that's being way generous because
why? I'm sorry. I totally disagree.
I think Tebow leads the Broncos to a win.
I don't know what you're talking about over there. Minnesota sucks.
They're getting
Sorry.
+1 though.
And as I said earlier, McNabb is gone, so this is Christian Ponder's team. But you got to do this and pick Tebow.
Are you kidding me? +1.
I think we might have to put some money on this.
We may have to call the betting window and lay down the wood. Lay the wood on Denver. I picked the Broncos. There's no way for the Vikings. The New York Crop Dusters go on the road to FedEx Field to take on the Washington Gingers.
The Washington Gingers had a lucky week last week. That was a fluke and a half. I'm gonna go with the Jets.
Benny and the Jets.
The Jets, if they want to make the playoffs, they have to win out. Like they said last week, they did it against Buffalo, and I think they do it again, beating the Redheads.
The Cincinnati. I already said it. Benny and the Jets.
Oh, I thought you were just singing. I thought you were just singing.
Pay attention.
Pay attention.
Oh, I thought he was singing.
The Cincinnati Bungles go on the road to Heinz Ketchup Field to take on the Pittsburgh Penguins.
You know, the Cincinnati Bengals did put up a good show against the Ravens. That doesn't stop me, however, from picking the Steelers.
This is a game. This is a must-win game for Cincinnati if they want to make the playoffs. I would pick them if they were playing Cincinnati. You're playing in Heinz Ketchup.
You would pick Cincinnati if they were playing Cincinnati.
Yeah.
If they were playing in Cincinnati.
No, but he said.
Oh, okay.
You know what I meant. I meant it's Cincinnati. And Cincinnati was playing in Cincinnati.
It's an orange-white scrimmage.
But they're playing in Heinz Ketchup Field. I picked the Penguins.
The Penguins. I picked Ben Roethlisberger and the Penguins. All right, the Atlanta Falcons go on the road to take on the Houston Mexicans.
This is probably the toughest game of the week to call, I think, besides Thursday Night Football.
I got one tougher than that. Just wait.
Just wait.
I gotta go with Houston on this one. I think that, like we just said, they've just got too many weapons, whereas with Atlanta they've really only got 2.
I go with the Houston Mexicans. I think they're playing really good football. Arian Foster is their marquee player, and they still have him. So
I think you both are wrong. I think Matty Ice goes in there hotter than ice and beats TJ Yates and the Texans. The Carolina Cam Newtons go on the road to the pirate ship and play Tampa Bay. Watch your Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay is getting 3 here, and I don't know why. This might be a game I might have to bet on. Tampa Bay is playing well against the with the running game. It's going to be a shootout, though, and when I'm taking quarterbacks, I'll take Cam Newton all day long. I'm over Freeman, so I'm going to say Carolina.
I like the Cam Newton myself.
I'll take Carolina.
Oh, here we go.
All right, probably the biggest upset of the week. Wait a minute. No, that's not
The
wallop of the week. The Indianapolis Dolts versus the New England Unpatriotics.
I'm going to have to go New England here.
No.
The line on that game is 21.5.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I might be crazy here. But I'm going to go with the Tom Brady and pick the
I was not ready to say. I was going to check your temperature. Yeah.
Who's the backup for doing it? You probably put him in.
Greg McElroy from Alabama.
They could probably
They could put Greg McElroy.
You could probably
in.
strap a helmet to Bill Belichick and he'd probably win the game for him.
The Patriots win, and it's over in the first quarter.
Yeah.
The Baltimore Ratbirds go on the road to take on the Cleveland Brownie Mix.
I got to take Baltimore here.
You know, history seems like I would take Cleveland just because
Cleveland?
Baltimore plays teams like Jacksonville, who's not very good, Seattle, who's below average, and they lose. But I think this is the time of year Baltimore gets their act together. I still go with Baltimore.
I was channeling Domo, and he told me to pick Baltimore.
Okay.
The Dallas Cowgirls, your daddy's favorite, go on the road to the University of Phoenix Stadium to take on the Arizona Fighting Cardinals.
I'm going to say they can fight all they want. They're not getting past this Dallas team.
Miles Austin's coming back. Romo's playing good. Go Cowboys.
Cowboys win easily. And now we'll ask again like we do every week. Is it possible did Green Bay get beat? Well, this week the Green Bay Epics go on the road to MetLife Stadium to take on Eli Manning and the New York Gargantuans.
Green Bay's only getting 6.5 here. I kind of like I like New York to cover that, but I'm going to say Green Bay wins the game.
Giants aren't playing good football right now. Green Bay wins this game.
I say Green Bay wins and the Giants playoffs hold.
Now to my favorite team of the week.
The St. Louis Rams go on the road to Candlestick Park to take on the San Francisco 49ers.
I do not want to be anybody after that game on Thursday that San Francisco's playing. San Francisco is going to absolutely crush them.
Crush them. Yeah, Alex Smith got exposed in that game. You should.
Really?
9
I
sacks.
didn't want to see that.
9, you know what I meant. 9 sacks. Oh, boy. But this week, they're playing in Candlestick, so I'm going to be a lamb and pick the Niners.
I'm going with Tim Lincecum and the San Francisco 49ers. All right, the Sunday night football game of the week. The Detroit Cowardly Lions go against the New Orleans when the Saints go marching in.
I think St. Louis. St.
Whoa,
Louis.
whoa.
I think New Orleans wins this one.
They're playing in.
Stop it.
They're playing in New Orleans. They play well against the Giants. But I need some games here. So I'm going to go on a limb and pick the upset. I'm going to pick Detroit.
He must really want to get his ass whipped.
Detroit. Put it down.
Wow. Drew Brees is going to annihilate the Lions' defense. You thought his performance last week against the Giants was something. Wait till Sunday night. He's got another one up his sleeve. And now the Toilet Bowl game of the week.
Can I debut the name?
The Toilet Bowl game of the week because it is what it is.
Can I debut the name?
And we now move to Big B, who's going to announce the new nickname for San Diego. So take it away, Big B.
The Monday Night Football game of the week is in Jacksonville. So you have the Jacksonville Jaguars hosting, drumroll please, the San Diego Sparklers.
Cricket. No, San Diego does not lose 7 in a row.
That's what you did think.
I did think that last week, but there's just no way they lose 7 in a row. San Diego wins.
They're playing in Jacksonville. But like I said many times, they could be playing on the moon. The Sparklers win this one.
On the moon.
On the new hall.
On the moon. I think.
What do you mean? I picked San Diego.
Oh, that's right. You did.
I said they're playing on the moon.
Sorry, I forgot. I picked San Diego.
Go Sparklers.
So that is our pick'ems for the week. And as always, it should be an interesting week. Last week we thought there'd be a shake-up in the...
We're not even going to say it.
We're not even going to say
There
it.
was a shake-up, just not a good one.
Yeah, you actually did something good and it didn't pay off.
So before we get into the wrestling for this week, once again, interview for this week was OVW Heavyweight Champion Rudy Switchblade. It was conducted by myself.
With me on camera.
Before I introduce this clip, I want to really say thanks again to OVW for letting us do this each and every week. We really enjoy it, and for me personally, it was awesome because Rudy Switchblade is my favorite in the company right now. So, without further ado, here's the interview for this week.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to an edition of Triple Threat Talk. Today we have a very special guest with us, probably the biggest guest we have had on this show, OVW Heavyweight Champion Rudy Switchblade. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks. First thing off, well, I am the biggest star you ever had on the show.
So let me hit this question real quick. For those of you who don't know who Rudy Switchblade is, you should, but if you don't, explain to the viewers at home who you are and how you got to OVW.
My name is Rudy Switchblade. I've been wrestling for 14 years all over this world. All of that led me here to OVW and this belt. I fought everybody all across the country, and everybody, and it didn't matter because when I got here, this is where the real competition was. And at the end of the day, I walked away with the heavyweight title.
Now, if you haven't seen OVW, check out OVWrestling.com to check out the previous taping. But he's taken out Jamin Overland, he's taken out,
Jason Wayne, Michael Hayes, Mike Mondo, Randy Perez, you're next.
the list goes on and on. Who's next up?
Saturday Night Special, December 3rd. It's going to be Randy Perez versus Rudy Switchblade for this heavyweight title. It doesn't matter because at the end of the night, they're going to be raising my hand, and I will be the victor.
Another question I've asked a couple of weeks ago about the TNA situation. How excited are you to be in the development area for TNA?
I'm very excited because all that means is there's going to be more competition, more people to lay at my feet when I'm crowned OVW champion. It doesn't matter who comes because I'm going to beat them all because I'm the best, and that's why I hold this belt.
Okay. Real quick at the end, just shoot real quick who you are.
My name is Rudy Switchblade, pursuing thought criminal. OVW Stop Police try to hold me down, but it doesn't matter because there's a war going on for your mind, and this is your wake-up call.
And again, we want to thank Rudy Switchblade and all the folks at OVW for their fine hospitality. And
go ahead.
What?
Go ahead.
I was just going to thank all the folks at OVW for all their fine hospitality and working with us and allowing us to come each week and do these interviews. Special thanks to the package Chris Sharp, which, by the way, congratulations to him. Just like the doctor, he was engaged over this past week. So congratulations to you there, Mr. Sharp. And with that, we move on to the results of OVW's weekly TV tapings. Big B?
All right, so TV tapings this week. For the match that we're on this week, because they have, if you do go, you see more matches that are on on the taping. So, first match we had was Bowen Services 2.0. Rocco Bellagio and James Moose Thomas took on.
You don't mean that.
Yeah, I do.
No.
What? I mean Husky Harris.
He looks like Husky Harris's twin
He
brother.
does look like Husky Harris. Took on Smooth Johnny Spade.
Who's epic.
And Shiloh Jones.
They should be called the Epic
Twins. And we were there, and the
Yes.
finish was amazing.
Okay, we're sitting there watching it. Okay, the match was really good. Bowen Services dominated quite a bit. If you don't know or haven't seen or watched, Johnny Spade and Shiloh Jones are not much bigger than me, but they're very fast, agile. They're like a cruiserweight. So, in the end, Bellagio gets hauled to the back because he's chasing Raul Therese because he took Chris Bowen's, what was it, camera or something. So he chases him to the back. That leaves Moose Thomas there alone. And Johnny Spade and Shiloh Jones hit him with a double sweet chin music.
If you can play in slow motion, his face would be going like this.
His face was like. I mean, it was like, wow.
That got a nice reaction from the crowd.
Yeah.
So then, maybe this might be a trend here, but we interviewed somebody and he won a match. Chris Silvio faced off. Who seems like to me a guy that is put in the ring, David Osborne, who's to push bigger talent because he's been doing that a couple weeks that I've seen. So Chris Silvio won that pretty handily. And then your favorite,
my favorite,
who lost to Adam Revolver a couple weeks back for the TV title, he took on. You see how I did that there? Lost to Dylan Bostic, Adam Revolver, still a TV champion. He's not really facing anybody up to his level, so.
My man needs to get his title back.
He hasn't been on TV.
Come on, OVW.
He hasn't been on TV.
Let's get Alex Silva his TV title back.
He hasn't been on TV. So the main event was Randy Torres took on Rudy Switchblade for the OVW Heavyweight title. And the match was so good, and so it went over, it didn't even finish.
And Gilbert was like, the referee's going down, Torres has the cover on Switchblade, he's like, what? And Gilbert's like, we gotta go!
So
cut the black.
So for those of you, it's actually OVW has moved up their online debut of the show to Saturdays. So go to ovwrestling.com Saturday. You'll see the conclusion of the Torres Switchblade match. Now to get to this week, which will be after the conclusion of that match. So I was there last night. Quick preview. James Thomas, Moose or Husky Harris, took on David Osborne. That was a good match. Adam Revolver defended his TV title against someone I have no clue who the name was. It was Andrew something. I have no clue. Never seen him before in my life.
All right.
And then the main event was a tag match. I'm not going to spoil the partners because it was a surprise there, so I'm going to let you see the surprise when it airs on Saturday. It featured Randy Torres and champion Rudy Switchblade. So definitely check out ovwrestling.com this Saturday if you don't live in the Louisville area. If you live in the Louisville area, check out channel 138 WKYI. Check it out, 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. So.
Absolutely. So moving on from there, we had 2 SmackDowns in a week, which is weird. We had Friday Night SmackDown, and we had a holiday special SmackDown hosted by Santa Foley.
So before we get to the holiday...
Or Mick Claus.
Before we get to the holiday thing, there's a few SmackDown things to cover, but pretty much the only thing that really happened on SmackDown, Daniel Bryan cashed in his Money in the Bank and won the world title, but then Teddy Long said Mark Henry's not been medically cleared to compete, so it didn't really count. So that resulted in a match later that evening. The main event, Fatal 4-Way, was Daniel Bryan, Cody Rhodes, Wade Barrett, and Randy Orton. And Daniel Bryan won via a little bell lock on Cody Rhodes. So now, when we get to that holiday SmackDown in a little bit, he faced Mark Henry in a steel cage for that
So wait
title.
a minute. Let me get this straight here.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan is the #1 contender for the world title.
Correct.
And the Money in the Bank holder.
Something's not right here.
Something is not right in Denmark.
Yeah.
Something smells a little fishy.
I don't know what they're trying to pull with that one.
I don't get that at all. Do you, Doc?
The only thing I can possibly think of is this. What is eventually going to happen is Daniel Bryan's going to win the national title.
Well, really? National title?
He's going to win the World Heavyweight Championship, and they're going to throw Wade Barrett in the mix, and we're going to see Wade Barrett going against Daniel Bryan.
So now moving on to Raw. Piper's Pit was the thing we first saw. And I was going to say it earlier, but I was going to wait till now to mention it. The thing I remember from that Raw was Piper's ability to strike energy into John Cena. And that slap, he laid across Cena's face.
Wow.
It was intense.
It was very intense, and the look Cena gave was very intense.
He wanted, basically what Piper was trying to do, he wanted Cena to change because he thinks that, because Cena doesn't really care about the people in the way where he gets booed, he doesn't care if they boo him or cheer him, he doesn't really care either way. He thinks that Cena needs to get right with these people or he's going to lose to The Rock. So, but Cena, being the guy that he is, rise above hate.
Rise above hate.
He didn't want to do what Piper wanted to tell him to do, so
just walk away.
Exactly. So, moving on from that, Dolph Ziggler.
Well, before we get to that, we want to say we've known this guy for a little while. It's a shame to see him go. We've known John Morrison, John Hennigan, whatever you want to call him, for a couple years. It's a shame to see John Morrison out of the company, but things happen. Hopefully, John Morrison, wish you all the best in your future. Really was awesome to watch in the ring. Some of the stuff you did was phenomenal. I couldn't even describe it. John Morrison, you're awesome talent, buddy.
I hope the WWE realizes that this will probably be in the top 10 greatest mistakes that the WWE's ever made.
If they don't rehire or re-sign him.
If they don't rehire or re-sign him, it's going to be an utter travesty. And John, if you're watching, you know us. You can feel free to join us here on the show anytime you want.
Yeah, I doubt that.
I doubt it's going to happen, but hey, we got to seem like we're friendly over here. I got nothing against John. I want him to be a success. Stop on by. We would love that, and our viewers would love that. So,
I mean, come on by the Triple Threat Talk Studios. We'd love to have you.
As you were saying, Dolph Ziggler took on Randy Orton. So Wade Barrett kind of got involved, and that caused a win for Dolph Ziggler, which is a huge win for Dolph Ziggler.
Not really, because, yet again, Wade Barrett interfered, so it wasn't that huge.
Anyway,
I don't want you to get too excited about Dolph Ziggler.
The title match was CM Punk versus Del Rio.
CM Punk won.
CM Punk retained.
So
with the Anaconda.
Question to you:
Vice.
Who's next for CM Punk? Del Rio got his rematch.
Goldberg. Who's next?
CM Punk. Del Rio got his rematch. Who's next?
That's
Miz.
a good question. Maybe the Miz. I mean, but
maybe Brodus Clay if he ever shows up.
maybe Brodus Clay if he ever shows up. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I don't think that they're kind of WWE. This gets back to the John Cena thing. Okay, if Del Rio is not next, what are they going to do with Del Rio? What are they going? What can they do with him?
I know they're kind of running out of main eventers on Raw.
They are. I mean, there's really Raw is a lot of very good and up and coming mid card talent.
Mm-hmm.
SmackDown is a lot of your older, been around for a while, main event talent. They need to find a way. Maybe they need to draft early. Or maybe some people need to come back. As you saw, it looks like Kane's going to come back. Maybe he comes back to Raw. Will he come with a mask? Will he not? The other promo, apparently, a lot of people seem to think it's Chris Jericho.
Or Undertaker.
Yeah, and what's up with the Twitter sign going staticky?
They're doing that on purpose.
Yeah, I know that. But, what's that leading up to?
That seems like a Jericho thing.
Yes, it does. Because Jericho is very heavy
Cryptic,
into Twitter.
Yeah.
And he's very heavy into the cryptic messages you can remember from his last return.
And that might be where we go next. That might be CM Punk versus Chris Jericho.
We could see Chris Jericho versus Undertaker at WrestleMania. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
So we got to the holiday special, but it was in November.
Yeah.
So Mick Foley opened up the show with Booker T, and Booker T was Santa Claus also, so we had two Santas in the ring.
Oh.
So that confused probably a lot of people.
So me.
Cody Rhodes came out, and as you stated a long time ago, they're going to get into a feud, and they are doing it right now. Mm-hmm. Then Mick Foley made a match for later that night. Booker T didn't really look too happy about it, but they made the match Booker T versus Cody Rhodes. So later, Booker T was in an interview. Cody attacked him, so that match never happened. Are they saving it for later?
Yes, probably WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think they are. I'm not sure WrestleMania. I'm not sure that's a WrestleMania caliber match. But I definitely agree with you. I think it's saving for later. Mm-hmm. And that's actually not a slight against Cody Rhodes. That's more of a slight against Booker T.
Yeah, I doubt that.
It really is.
So this is one I guarantee we're all going to do this at. There's a holiday battle royal. And the winner got a wish from Santa Claus, guys. Santa. Well, this is not the part of facepalm yet.
Yeah, I already know, so I'm already like, oh dear God.
The final two were the Celtic Warrior, the Great White Sheamus, and Hornswoggle. And guess who was victorious?
Hornswoggle.
He got his wish, right? He got his wish. Come on.
You know what his wish was?
To talk.
And guess what?
He talked.
But really? Hornswoggle beats Sheamus? Are you kidding me?
Hornswoggle's going to be your next World Heavyweight Champion.
He does that, the show will end. So then you go to the main event.
End of SmackDown, as we know
The main event was the steel cage match between Mark Henry and Daniel Bryan. And Mark Henry was victorious with a nice World Strongest Slam from the top rope. But I was watching something earlier today. I don't get why they have a cage match, but they go for a pinfall submission. Don't they I like to see them escape the cage.
Yeah, they should escape
Mark
the cage.
Henry can't really escape the cage.
No, the cage might just suddenly go, woo!
They can also go out the door.
Ah, that's true.
Yeah, they could.
So, that's it for wrestling this week. Before we head out, we got some wild cards this week. Do you want to start your wild cards first, or want me to go first?
We'll let you go.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my wild card this week is tennis. Yes, tennis.
Oh, jeez.
The year-end championship.
Let's make him.
Here we go again.
The year-end champion.
Go
We're
ahead.
running out of time here as it is anyway.
Stop it!
We're running over. Look at the time.
Stop it! What have I told you about
I don't
this?
care. Look at the time.
I don't care. Stop it!
Anyway.
I told you, quit doing that.
Anyway, so Roger Federer won the year-end championships in London, and he's saying that's nothing new. Federer winning, that's nothing new. But now Federer jumps Murray, is now number 3, so number 4, and he's fresh in everyone's mind. I read an article. Djokovic, his wins were a long time ago now. Federer has a lot of momentum going into the Australian Open, and yes, the Australian Open will be covered on this show whether they like it or not. So that's my wild card for this week because, I mean, that's it. Roger Federer is not done, as everyone says he is, so.
Are you done?
Now, let's move on to a wild card that I'm sure everybody will appreciate. And me and the doc have... the doc cracks up on me over here. Our wild card is a joint wild card this week. No, we're not getting married. Don't worry. We're not going to Connecticut anytime soon. Our wild card is about none other than Tim Tebow!
What's with all the hate?
What is with all the hate? I don't get it.
Sacrificing games, they're winning games.
Not a NFL-style quarterback. He's 6-1.
He's got a better quarterback rating than most of the guys in the league right now. I mean, really.
He has a better touchdown to interception ratio than Ryan Fitzpatrick than most all. He has more wins than Phillip Rivers, for God's sakes. Phillip Rivers! Hello! Wake up. I'm absolutely disgusted.
Come on. Guys. We know that you all want to hate on Tebow because there was question whether or not he could play at the SEC level coming out of high school.
That's right. I don't know if he's going to succeed in the state of Florida.
Is he going to do well in the NFL? Well, it took him a little bit, but yeah, he's doing just fine.
He's doing phenomenal. I mean, just because he's not Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers and throws for 445 million yards and 765,000 touchdowns doesn't mean he's not good. Because it's not a pass, epic type quarterback, he's a grinder. All he does is win. Come on, people. Give Tebow a break. Stop with the criticisms.
Here's what it boils down to at the end of the day. When the NFL first started, it was a running league.
Yes,
okay?
absolutely.
The NFL. All right? People said the constant passing wouldn't work.
Absolutely.
Here we are now. Tom Brady, Drew Brees,
Aaron Rodgers, everybody.
Then they said the West Coast offense wouldn't work. San Francisco gets 4 of their 5 Super Bowls using the West Coast offense before everyone else starts on.
No thanks to Bill Walsh.
No thanks at all to Bill Walsh. Well, that's a lie, by the way. Bill Walsh.
Absolutely.
Probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, NFL coach ever. But we'll get to that maybe.
And if you don't smile over there and say how epic that Timothy Tebow is, then you're a fail just like the other reporters.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to do this.
And now they've got this new style of ball called T-ball.
T-ball.
That's what I'm going to call it. Is
T-ball. T-ball.
That's a triple threat talk term right there. It is T-ball, and it is working. And for those of you all to say that it is not working when it clearly is, you need to get your eyes checked.
I'm calling them all right now. When we leave, we're going to pick up shirts, and they're going to have his name on it, and we'll put T-ball.
I think I played T-ball as a youngster.
Shut your mouth!
We all played T-ball as a youngster, but only one person can do it the way it's being done now, and that is one Timothy Tebow.
Right, absolutely. So you haters, quit the hate, stop drinking your haterade, and learn to like Tim Tebow, because he's a winner. He was a proven winner in the SEC. He won national championships in college. He's a proven winner now. He has the great package. He has a good defense. He has a good running back. Get the man some receivers, and I'm telling you what, he's going to be epic.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it better than that. He's going to be, the kid is going to be good. I mean, I want a quarter every time somebody says T-ball, except for you. I want a quarter. Because I'm coining that term.
25 cents. I'm calling ESPN right now.
I want 25 cents every time somebody says it besides us.
You got a penny.
T-ball is
here.
You know
what?
T-ball is here, and it's here to stay for a while.
His bad attitude is really bringing this show down.
It offends me.
But with that being said, we are done with our wild card. I know you're glad that it's over, but We had to get that out. That's been building up. And we had to get it out because we were ticked off jointly of all the hatred. And he doesn't even care.
He doesn't even care.
I don't care.
Well, then say something for Christ's sake instead of sitting there with your mouth shut.
No, he's not going to say anything.
I know. I guess we'll end the show now.
Wait, we got one more
We
thing.
got Idiot of the Week.
Fine.
Go
See,
ahead.
you got me so flabbergasted that I wanted to end the show without doing the Idiot of the Week. See? You're a fail!
Who's the Idiot of the Week?
Idiot of the week.
Should be him for not chiming in on that last wild card.
I like Tim. I found him right now. I like Tim Tebow. He's playing well. He wins. That's all that should matter.
All right.
That's all that should matter.
So, can we get a drum roll, please? And Dominic Sue, you are our Idiot of the Week!
I'm falling!
Just stop it. Take a look at the clip.
This one, but he's not going to get to play anymore this afternoon. There he is at the bottom of that pile. A takedown there.
So apparently, Adamakin's favorite movie is probably Stomp the Yard.
Whoa!
His favorite band might be Stomp.
Wait a minute, isn't that a Broadway
Yeah,
play?
Bam!
But it's also the band. The band's name is Stomp.
Okay, unfail.
Oh, anyway.
Anyway, so that was inexcusable behavior, as we
Very
said.
unexcusable. I'm just trying to help myself up. I'm falling. I didn't want to... No! You're a dirty player. It's proven you're a dirty player. You've done nothing but be dirty your whole career. You were just at the commissioner's office, what, not even 2 weeks prior.
How can I get all this over? What will make this okay?
Why are they picking on me? Oh, poor me.
Well, this is why they're picking on you.
Yeah, it's a shame.
This is why they're picking on you, because you do stuff like this. You're the only player on the NFL's most hated list without a felony.
Absolutely.
That should tell you something. Clean up your act. We came to your defense here, Triple Threat Talk, 3 or 4 weeks ago. I'm not coming to your defense here.
No.
This is unexcusable.
You know what also is unexcusable? I'm still saying, Jake Plummer,
Yeah.
you're still idiot of the
You're
week.
still Idiot of the Week, Jake.
Sit on the bench of idiots. So, with that being said, good show this week. Run long as always.
Stop it with the running long and the time constraints. We're not professional.
Obviously not an hour and 45 minutes.
What? What exactly?
Wow. All right.
So with that being said,
Oh,
if you want to check us out on Facebook, you can go to facebook.com/triplethreattalk. You can follow us on Twitter at triplethreattalk. You can send any comment or question you have at triplethreattalk@yahoo.com. So for Triple Threat Talk, this is Big B.
This is Postmaster Jones. I'm going to play T-ball. I'm out of here.
This is the doctor, and I'm going to show you.
So yeah, thanks for watching everybody, and these two drive me insane.
All right.